At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Lowe's knows how to help you save. This July 4th, get up to 40% off select Maytag laundry appliances. Plus, get an additional 10% off when you buy 2 or 3 select major appliances. And when you buy 4 or more, you'll save an additional 20%. Find the right appliances and features that fit your home's unique needs and style. Shop Maytag 4th of July deals at Lowe's. Valid through 7/9. See Lowe's.com for details. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Selection varies by location.
If you love entertainment, current events, and Hollywood, don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators Today. Today, special guest.
Do you want to do that again?
Sure.
You heard the sound? Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No problem. No problem. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators Today. Today we have a special guest.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So, I love going back to the beginning. That's like, for me, I always say the beginning kind of charts our trajectory of like where we're going in life, our little habits we pick up along the way, kind of follow us into our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was that like? And kind of how did you find your way into doing all the amazing things that you're doing now?
Well, I had a creative childhood. That's the first word that comes up. My dad was a producer and he was the agent, the president that opened the very first William Morris agency in Paris in
Wow.
the 60s off the Champs-Élysées. So I remember going to his office quite a lot and playing under the desk and, remembering the huge stars that would come in and discuss their dreams with my dad. So that was a memory that I have. And I also have another memory of cutting classes to go watch movies on the Champs-Élysées and go to museums. And I would mount productions in school, plays. I loved the theater. I loved movies. My mom was an entertainer. She danced, she sang, she had a beautiful voice. And so I grew up in Europe. And I remember having a very rich childhood that was filled with culture and art and literature.
Oh, it's beautiful. Wow. I mean, just the fact of like the city of love, right? It's like what a beautiful experience. And cinema there is different from cinema I guess what in American cinema. Um
Yes, absolutely. French cinema is, sometimes I joke when I feel very slow in life, I'm in a very slow European movie. I feel when I get elongated. But no, I mean, it's just the storytelling of it is artistic and not every movie, obviously, but the greats, Jean-François Truffaut and Fellini and there's the great filmmakers are European, Jean Cocteau, Jean Renoir, all those.
oh yeah, that's so beautiful. When did you were around the creative worlds ever since you were a child. Um, when did you finally like, was there a moment, was there a movie, or was it just like something that kind of went off in your head and said, you know what, I want to do this. This is this is
Well,
my career.
three
This is what I want.
movie experiences that triggered that for me. One was a movie that I saw as a child called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Another one was Frankenstein, Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder and
Yes.
Madeline Kahn. And the third one was Gone with the Wind. And I think those were, in addition to so many more, but I mean, those are some that stand out from my childhood.
I love that. Gone with the Wind. I remember watching that, and I think I was even just blown away just for that time. It's such a romantic and just such a well done film, classic to this day. It's something my mom and I like to watch from time to time. Like when we were together, we're like, let's watch Gone with the Wind. It's one of the ones, and I it's funny. I ironically do a lot of horror, so it's like I completely went the opposite direction. But I love it. It's to this day a classic. So, what was the first thing like the first steps in going in the direction of entertainment and in that world of the creative world? Did you go to school? Like, what was the your
I
first?
did. I took acting classes at the Conservatory of Paris, Conservatory of Saint Cloud, of Versailles. I took acting classes. I had some wonderful teachers that, inspired me and shaped me. And then when I moved to New York, I studied with Stella Adler. I studied with Uta Hagen. I studied with Herbert Bergdorf, Bill Esper, the greats, some of the great acting, iconic teachers, and my inspiration continued. And so I guess it was written that at some point maybe I would share all this knowledge that that I soaked up so that, I could pass it down.
And that's what really it's about, right? Would you say it's really having because I mean we can't take it with us. We it's like we have all this information, all these experiences that we want to share with other young creatives that are coming in. Um, and that's pretty exciting, like to pass the baton almost. It's like, oh,
Yep, you have to. You have to pass the baton because life, goes quick and it's your responsibility, I think, when you've learned a craft that matters to a lot of people, for, people to gain something from those insights.
yeah. What for and I'm curious, what did acting for you? What was like, I guess the most, I guess, or greatest lesson that you've gained from your acting experience?
Um, it's always done something to me, emotionally, physically. It's always filled me with something that's very profound. Storytelling, I say, is always at the core of everything that I do, whether I'm acting or I'm directing or I'm writing or I'm teaching. It's a love of story, a love of sharing a certain story that has a message about what it's like to be human, what it's like to go deeper in the human condition. So that always is drives it.
That's amazing. So that yeah, and I think it's one it's one of the greatest jobs I think anybody can ever have, but also most exciting one as well. And honestly, it's really hard too because I feel like you know you're putting on different people, you're playing different roles, different characters, so you're kind of it's kind of for me, when I was doing acting, I got into therapy. That's when I started. I was like, I gotta take this off and like get back into the real world because it's you're kind of two different people. You're a person on set and you gotta like let that go, and then you gotta go back to like the real world, which is your life.
Yes, and it can be a lot of fun. And sometimes, I mean, listen, if you're doing a horror movie, I remember I was working on a horror movie with an actress, and she said that she didn't bring the clothing into the house. She left the script in the car because she had
Wow,
kids. Um, I saw a very interesting movie last night called The Deliverance, directed by Lee Daniels. I don't know if you saw it.
I just
Uh,
did.
I thought it was wonderful, and the performances were beyond powerful, and scary movie, obviously. I think that if you were shooting that movie, you may want to leave your script in the car and your clothing at the door.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. So I looked at your bio, and I mean, obviously, we cannot talk about all the things the amazing things you've done in like 20 to 5 or to 30 minutes. It's just doesn't do you justice. But please tell me a little bit about like all the amazing people you've worked with. I mean, you taught, what was that like? And who is some of the, I guess, one of the not your favorite students, but favorite students?
Well, it's gonna be hard to answer that. But I've been lucky enough to work with some extraordinary actors. The first one that comes to mind is sadly someone that passed away not too long ago, which was Donald Sutherland. And I had the honor of, working with him on a movie that I directed a few years ago called Miranda's Victim, which was how the Miranda rights came about.
Mm,
Um, he he played Judge Wren, and he came on set, and he was just the most generous, kind human being, artist, incredible artist. The whole entire cast was in awe. We were all hanging there, our mouth open. I will remember this obviously for the rest of my life, going up to him and talking to him, and the humor in his eyes and the humanity in his eyes. And of course, I've saved every email that he's written to me because I
oh,
intend to frame them. He wrote me
yeah.
the most beautiful emails. Um, so this is something that will, stay with me. I like to work with the same actors, Had Donald Sutherland be alive, I would reach out to him working in something else. I recently saw Andy Garcia was in Miranda's Victim, and recently I shot with Andy a movie in Italy, in Puglia, called Under the Stars, that's in post-production now.
Nice.
Um, and I have a movie that's going to come out probably early next year with Abigail Breslin, who also was a Miranda's Victim, who I
Yes.
had a great experience working with, called The Italians, a comedy. Um, so I love working with the same actors and also with new actors because, I mean, it's not fair if you're always working with the same actors, but obviously I was looking that there was the Toronto Film Festival just now. There's the latest movie of Mike Lee, who's an English filmmaker, who's a particularly one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, the way that he works with his actors very improvisationally.
Nice.
Um, and he did a movie that I've always loved, that I've script analyzed in my acting classes, called Secret and Lies, with Jean-Marie Baptiste and Brenda Blethyn. They won a lot of awards for that. And I just saw that he cast Jean-Marie Baptiste again in his latest movie that is playing at Toronto. So I do love working with the same actors. If you have that experience with them, you finish a movie and then you immediately think of wanting to work with them in another movie.
Yeah.
But of course, you would have to have the parts that would fit, and it's just um but that's why I believe in a theater company on film as
Mm.
much as possible. But then you have to open up the theater company and let new members come in and work with actors that you haven't worked with before.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, I'm sure you see so many talented people that coming in and out through, that you've met and taught. What do you think? Do you feel like acting now, since the whole the when everybody did when we went on strike and we want all this, we want change and all these things. Do you feel like things are changing and has changed for the better in favor of the actor?
I don't know. Don't know. Well, hopefully, yes. The answer was yes. I don't know if we've recovered. It seems like we have not recovered from the strike, sadly.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of a backlash on that, in the sense that production is down in LA. And a lot of actors are moving out of LA, and people feel that there's not, as many opportunities because production has decreased. Everything goes in waves, so whatever goes down goes up. I remain absolutely hopeful that there
Yeah.
will be different phases. Um, what I'm personally disappointed in is I don't feel that there's enough. If you're going to shoot a movie in LA, you're either going to shoot a very, very low budget movie, but if you shoot, a movie that's, anywhere from 2 to 10 million or even 15 million, it's hard to shoot it in Los Angeles. They don't have the tax incentives in place to help independent filmmakers. So you better find a way to do it with the studio if you're going to want to shoot, need to shoot in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like I mean, nowadays, I mean, you can shoot essentially anywhere. Um, uh, do you feel like and then maybe sell it to a studio that is in Los Angeles?
Yeah,
Uh,
of course, you can shoot anywhere. As a matter of fact, it's fun. That's how they got me to go shoot a movie in Italy. They said, "Do you want to come shoot a movie in Italy?" And I was like, yeah. They had me in Italy. They had me at Puglia. Sure, I would love to come 2 months to Italy to shoot. Yeah, so, there's a great place I want to go shoot in, which is Thailand. I want to go shoot in Croatia. I mean, there's so many places around the world that I would love have to go shoot. But sometimes you'd like to do it here and you'd like to be
Yeah.
able to. Yeah.
Yeah. So how and you know I'm just really curious how does one like an independent creator, filmmaker, or production team where what how would they go about making an actual good independent film, feature film? Because it like you said, it's really hard to create it in Los Angeles, especially with no budget.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're doing things low budget, you have to enlist the community around you to help, and everybody needs to pitch in. It's got to be a collective. If you're doing something that has a little bit more budget, then you have to, attract the right people to come on board and make it happen. And of course, as everybody knows, it always starts with the project itself. What's the story? What's the script? Um, who's attached, who's not attached. That's how it starts. But to have a strong story, that's the key of it.
That's the key story. Like I see a lot of great talented filmmakers writing have great scripts, and they're just like, I just can't find the budget or I can't find the money. And and I always say, you could put your own money into it, invest in yourself. It's a gamble, I think, but I think that's a good way to get your stuff out and not,
Well, absolutely. If you want to control the product, you
yeah.
can put your own money into it. I mean, there's a way to do it. You can always do those GoFundMe pages and enlist people that know you to support you.
Yeah.
There's some grants available, not tons, but there are. There's grants you can apply for. Um, there's always a way. I have a couple of kids, and my motto to them is there's always a way. If you can't get into the front door, then you get into the side door. And if you can't, you go from the back, or you go from the basement, or you go from the roof, or you find a way.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. So I have this fun question, and there's no wrong answer. But I love asking every guest this. The three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Um, well, I mean, I would choose money. I mean, I don't need to have power. And, people will respect you or they won't. I mean,
I love
I
it.
would choose money. I'm sorry to tell you, but with that comes the power and maybe the respect, depending on who you are.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Like it's true. It takes money to make anything, and like who you said, either you get it or not. I love that answer. It's a fantastic answer. Well, have you like I'm curious of all like your just everything that you've done and just an amazing career and resume that you have. Do you ever get moments of like I don't know uncertainty? And if you do, how do you get out of those moments, like whether it's pertaining to the creative world?
Well, yeah, it's always when you watch a rough cut of something you did. It's always that. And I have somebody who's very critical in my life, and I always make the mistake of showing them the work too soon before we've, worked on it. And they'll, tear it apart. And my son, who works with me, who graduated from USC in theater and film, he said, "Why do you do that? Like, what is it?" And then he, of course, has a theory. He
Mm.
goes, "Because you need the approval," he goes, "you need to be validated." And yes, I do. I do. I need the validation. I need somebody to say that. So whenever I'm in that place, it's so vulnerable always. It feels very vulnerable. I feel incredibly insecure. Um, and then I just directed last week a short movie, a very interesting horror movie. And
Oh,
it's
cool.
15 minutes. And I'm right now, I'm editing it. I'm in the post of it.
Nice.
Um, and of course, watching it, I just had to remind myself that with every good horror movie, if you don't have the sound design that goes with it, you're actually not going to see it because it relies a lot on what the sound is. So,
Mhm.
right now I'm like, well, yeah, but that's because we have to put sound design on it.
Yeah.
And you have to, finesse the score. I work with a wonderful composer, Holly Amber Church. She's great, and you know, but we have to. Nothing comes, you know, ready. You
Right.
have to work on it, and it's the work. It's that process that always is vulnerable. Always.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. I've got so many questions I can ask you. What advice would you give to young artists out there, someone that is trying to get in the business, whether that's acting or even be a filmmaker?
I think that the advice that I would give is not necessarily the one that I took at that age, but it's the one that I see my son following, which is study. Study, watch everything you can watch, really go in depth, watch the process of artists, expand yourself, travel a lot, see, go to museums, look at sculpture, music, um, keep working on yourself as
Yeah,
a person, as a human being, as an artist, work on your relationships. Um, there's always something that you can do, well, many things, but always something in the moment that you can do to raise the bar.
I love that. That's great advice. Gosh, thank you for coming on. Where can people find you on social media to follow everything you got going on?
All right, well, I do very little social media, but I'm on it. I'm on Instagram. It's so funny because when they first started, I so was not into it, and now I go on Instagram. So it's M Danner LA, I believe, or Actors International for the actors. But you can find me. I think just to Google my name, and it's the Michelle Danner Acting Studio, the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory, and the production company where I make films is All in Films.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I could talk to you all day. But again, please come back anytime. I really enjoyed our conversation.
I appreciate it so much. Have a great Sunday. Thank you.
You too, you too. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care. Thank you.